الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. So today we are going inshallah to study الذكر. الذكر is the English translation with remembrance, but it's actually a wide range. ذكر could be the Quran itself. إنا نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون, which is the Quran. واذكروني أذكركم, remember me, I remember you. So remember Allah Azza wa Jal. إنما شرعت أقم الصلاة لذكري, Allah said to Musa. So when you make salah, you remember Allah Azza wa Jal all the way through salah, and you do actually all the type of zikr. You read the Quran, it's zikr. You say Allahu Akbar is zikr. Subhan Rabbil Azim is zikr. Subhan Rabbil Ala is zikr. Allahu Akbar is zikr between the rak'at of salah. So dhikr is wide range of practices, and to narrow it down in a wide respect, in a wider look, Sheikh Yusri Jabari was saying, if you're doing even your work for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, this is dhikr. You remembered Allah Azza wa Jal and you went to work. Usually people in Britain, they remember to have to pay the mortgage and have to pay the gas bill. They go to work. While we go to work, as a Muslim, if you go to work to earn the halal money, to buy the halal food, support yourself, support your family, you are in zikr. You're doing this because you remembered Allah Azza wa Jal. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أولياء أمتي من إذا رؤوا ذكر الله برؤيتهم. The awliya, the friends of Allah Azza wa Jal, of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, there are those who, when they are seen, people remember Allah. It's the Shaykh, he's a mullah, go that way. We don't want them to see us doing this or doing that. And we missed, we were banned from going to some weddings because they were doing things which we will immediately disapprove. To start with, doing a wedding in a church. And you are a Muslim and you claim to be Muslim, and so they didn't even invite us. So when my wife knew, they said to her, it's in the church, there were some dancing which is not halal and things, and so people, alhamdulillah, if we remind people with Allah Azza wa Jal, that's great. But that's one of the things. You remember Allah Azza wa Jal and you do the work, you do the job, you do the things, it will be considered dhikr. This is what Yusri Jabba was saying. So dhikr, it could be with your tongue, it could be with your heart, it could be with both, and it could be with when you're doing your job. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he was traveling, and he reached this place when he needed to sleep, and there's no hotels at that time, or bed and breakfast, nothing. So I thought he would sleep in the mosque. So the guy in the mosque wanted to close the mosque. Dragged them out. So he had no place, and it's very cold. So found a baker just opened, and you know the story? Yeah. You know the story?
Yes.
Do you know the story?
Beautiful story.
You're like Jahi. Jahi went to give a khutbah, and he said, do you know what I'm talking about? What I'm going to talk about? They said, no. You don't know what? I'm wasting my time, nothing. And he went, Aqim as-salah. Then the next time he said, do you know what I'm going to talk about? They said, yes. It's okay, I don't need to talk. He went down, Aqim as-salah. The third week, they said yes, they said no. Say, okay, those who know, tell those who don't know. Aqim as-salah. So anyway, the Imam, the baker was, subhanallah, and he, alhamdulillah. So he was making zikr during all his work. And then I allowed him in, and Ahmad Muhammad asked him, a few questions. This guy said, alhamdulillah, Allah Azza wa Jal, nothing I want to see or do, but Allah hasn't given it to me. But one thing I asked Allah Azza wa Jal to do, and never done it yet. He said, what is it? He said, I wanted to meet Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And that never fulfilled. So Ahmad ibn Hanbal says, subhanallah, the zikr, how Allah Azza wa Jalla gave him everything he wanted. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا. So he said, remember Allah Azza wa Jalla a lot. There's no limit to it, and it's quite open. You don't have to need wudu, you don't have to do ghusl, you don't have to sit facing qibla, you don't have to sit on a clean carpet, nothing. You just loudly, you're not allowed to do it while you are in the toilet or while you are sleeping with your wife. So that's the only two things. Loudly you're not allowed, but in your heart you carry on. Remember Allah Azza wa Jalla. So Allah left it open in every aspect. So zikrullah is the only ibadah you can do it in all your conditions. Even if you're sitting in a meeting at work and you're talking to somebody, listening to, most of the time my boss used to say that our meeting is just to look into the shoes of everybody and trousers and spot what's wrong with their dressing and things, instead of, we'll be like two people talking to each other. We're not participating. So Prophet ﷺ said, Ala unabbi'ukum, and that's a hadith an Abi Darda radhiyallahu anhu. Ala unabbi'ukum bi khayri a'malikum, shall I tell you with the best of your deeds and the most purified in the eye of Allah Azza wa Jal, and وأرفعها وأرباها في درجاتكم is أربعة. It will raise your levels in Jannah, and better for you than giving the gold and silver, and better for you than meeting your enemies and you kill them and they kill you. And they said, what's that, Ya Rasulullah? وَمَا ذَلِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ قَالَ ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. So dhikrullah is the best of your deed you can ever do. Why is that? Why is the best of your deeds?
I heard another explanation for this, is that it's the final destination for like dhikr. There's no, because even when you fight, you do it. That's the purpose of fighting.
Yeah, but why it is the highest?
Because I think this ayat, if they ask me, I'm closer than it's like there's nothing you have to do. Nothing prevents you to do these things to achieve the highest level.
Yeah. If we go to the Quran, yeah, you want?
Just having tranquility and the absolute, peace. Allah zikrillah min al-qulub.
Yeah, I want the people following to see this as well. If you go to the Quran and say, فإذا اطمأننتم فإذا قضيتم الصلاة فاذكروا الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبكم. When you finish the prayer, اذكروا, remember Allah Azza wa Jalla standing, sitting and lying down. فإذا اطمأننتم, with the dhikr, فأقيموا الصلاة. So dhikr is in between, before the salah and after the salah. إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. أقم الصلاة لذكري. فاعبدني, Allah said to Sayyidina Musa, وأقم الصلاة لذكري. إنني أنا الله لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدني وأقم الصلاة لذكري. فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام. So you establish the salah to make zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal. when you finish from Arafat, فإذا فضتم من عرفات, you came from Arafat to Muzdalifah, فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام. And the hadith إنما شرع السعي والطواف والحج والسعي والطواف لأجل ذكر الله. So Allah wanted you to remember Allah. So it's like have two sharp ends. If you make dhikr to Allah Azza wa Jal, you will worship Allah Azza wa Jal more, and you will be closer to Allah when you start the salah. If you make the salah and you feel that real salah wasn't really good enough, you do zikr after salah. So you do zikr before salah, you do zikr after salah, you do salah for dhikr. So the dhikr is the engine of really everything. You remember Allah Azza wa Jal and you give the charity. You remember Allah Azza wa Jal, you go to Hajj. You remember Allah Azza wa Jal, you help people. You remember Allah Azza wa Jal, you go to work and halal money. So the zikr is the motivator of everything you do. Everything in Sharia, the zikr will get you really to have the motivation and the power and the ability even to go and do what you are expected to do.
Also, when you do zikr, it would be opposing kufr, yeah? Your qalb, there's no space for kufr when you do zikr. You can feel it, because opposing things side would be kufr. So like, if you always
remember
Allah, you don't have to do the bad things like, doing, swearing someone, talking about bad things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes listening music, for example, it's even not debatable. You don't have time to do those things.
Even when you meet your enemy, you're requested to make zikr.
Maybe that's why Prophet Sallam's did a lot of zikr.
When you meet,
he slept. He didn't sleep because of the filled with zikr. Maybe
his heart. He said, "My eyes sleep, but my heart doesn't. Carry on remembering Allah." So here's the highest in Islam is zikrullah, because it will make you do all the ibadat from end to end. So zikr will motivate you, will make you more powerful, more able. And if you look into the Islamic history, most of the wars which took place in, the time of Mahmud Zinki, in the time of Salahuddin Ayyubi, the time of the other leaders who started, big comeback to Islam, they were Sufis, or supported by Sufis, who make zikr to Allah and give them the motivation and to go and fight for the sake of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقوم الساعة على أحد يقول الله الله. So saying Allah Allah in particular is the zikr, which is really counted. And the hadith is narrated by two different routes. Here عن أنس بن مالك عن ثابت عن أنس, and here عن حميد عن أنس بن مالك لا تقوم الساعة حتى لا يقال في الأرض الله الله. Day of judgment will not take place until there is no one on earth saying Allah Allah, which means there will be no Muslims at all. So the wind will come from Sham and take the soul of all the believers across the globe, and they die. And how you do the dhikr, I go to the Quran, and Allah Azza wa Jal wants us to do the zikr in certain way. واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا. واذكر اسم ربك. So what's the name of your Lord? Allah. So واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا, and beg him and ask him. And so obviously when you say Allah, you always remember Allah is the greatest, Allah is Azim, Allah is the Qawi, Allah is the Wasi', Allah is the Rahman, Allah is the Rahim, Allah is the first, Allah is the last. So Allah doesn't need, like, it's mubtada, doesn't need khabar, because the khabar is obvious. It's so obvious. When you say Allah, 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 Allah is Azim, Allah is Qawi, Allah. You can say it. You can say La ilaha illallah. أفضل الذكر لا إله إلا الله, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. But here is saying that it's the Qaq said the zikr, it's the strong pillars, the main pillar in Islam, in the way to Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is the column which build your belief on it. And you will not reach Allah Azza wa Jal until you remember Allah all the time, continuously. And the dhikr lisan bihi yasal, dhikr, there's two types of dhikr, by the tongue, by the heart. But if you do the dhikr by lisan continuously, you will find that your heart also starts saying Allah, Allah, Allah. And that's when you become zakir with your tongue and your heart, that will be the complete dhikr. And then you become like wali min awliya Allah. And if you are like forbidden or the zikr taken away from you, you're really at distance from Allah Azza wa Jal. And Shibli used to hit himself when he forget Allah Azza wa Jal. So he carry some sticks and hit himself, which is obviously not the habit, but it's one of the things people did. And dhikrullah with the heart is the sword for the murideen, those who want to the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they can fight their enemies with it, they can defend themselves with dhikrullah. And if you continuously mention Allah Azza wa Jal, all the harm and bad things will keep away from you. And Al-Wasiti was asked about zikr, and he said, Al-Khuruj min Midan al-Ghafla ila Fada' al-Mushahada. You immigrate or go out from the field of ignorance and forgetting Allah Azza wa Jal to the wideness of seeing Allah Azza wa Jal in everything, and you seeing Allah Azza wa Jal moving everything. And the Nun al-Masri said, من ذكر الله ذكرا على الحقيقة نسي في جنبه ذكره كل شيء. If you remember Allah Azza wa Jal correctly all the time, you forget other people. You don't actually bother about anything in this worldly life. And Allah Azza wa Jal will protect you from everything. And it will be a replacement for you from everything. And then when they talk about this, they mentioned the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and they threw him in the fire. And Jibreel said, do you need any help? He said, from you, no. He said, ask your Lord. He said, Hasbi min su'ali ilmuhu bihali. I don't need to ask, he knows what's going on. So he's with Allah Azza wa Jal. And Musa, when they stuck with the sea, he said, Inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdin. So I'm with Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah with me. Allah is with me. You can't say, oh, you are with Allah. You don't say, I am ma'allah. You say, Allah ma'i. If you say, ana ma'allah, you put Allah there and you are here. That's shirk. You put yourself important. Allah ma'i. I'm nothing. It doesn't exist. So, and when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the cave with Abu Bakr, he said, La tahzan inna Allah ma'ana. So that's ma baluka bithnayn Allahu thalithuhuma. So it's just with Allah all the time. It doesn't, and Abu Uthman said, وَلَا نَجِدُ, he was told that we make dhikr to Allah, we don't feel a taste in our heart. فقال احمدوا الله تعالى على أن زين جارحاتكم. You should thank Allah Azza wa Jal because He allowed you to do dhikr, even you're not feeling the sweetness. And we have الخبر مشهور عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مررتم برياض الجنة فارتعوا. When you pass the gardens of Jannah, enjoy yourself there and go and enjoy yourself. And they said, what is the gardens of Jannah? He said, حلق الذكر, the circles of dhikr. So people sit and make dhikr to Allah Azza wa Jal collectively. Because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the hadith القدسي, إذا ذكرني عبدي في نفسه ذكرته في نفسي, إذا ذكرني في ملأ ذكرته في ملأ خيرا من ملأه. If you remember me in yourself, Allah said He will remember you in Himself. If you remember Him among people, Allah will remember you among people better than yours. And Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu قال خرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, said يا أيها الناس ارتعوا في رياض الجنة. He said, oh people, enjoy yourself in the gardens of Jannah. And we said, what's the garden of Jannah, Ya Rasulullah? He said, the majalis al-zikr, the circles of zikr. اغدوا واروحوا واذكروا من كان يحب أن يعلم من منزله. So enjoy yourself and go and come back and enjoy it and make dhikr to Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you want to know where is your status with Allah Azza wa Jal? Look into the status of Allah in you. How important Allah to you, how much you remember Him, how much you care about Allah Azza wa Jal. You know that He cares about you. If you don't care about Allah Azza wa Jal, obviously He will not care about you. Because فإن الله عز وجل ينزل العبد منه حيث أنزله من نفسه عن نفسه. So Allah will put you, give you the status in Himself. Depends on the status Allah has in your heart. And الشبلي said أليس الله تعالى يقول أنا جليس من ذكرني ما الذي استفدتم من جلسة الحق. Allah said in the Hadith Qudsi, I am with the one who makes dhikr to me. When you make dhikr, Allah will be with you. So, and he made some poetry here. ذكرتك على أني نسيتك لمحة وأيسر ما في الذكر ذكر لساني. I remembered you not because I've forgotten you, but because it's easy to remember you with Allah with your tongue. وكنت بلا وجود أموت من الهوى وهام على القلب بالخفقان. He was like, كنت بلا وجود أموت من الهوى. He's so close to Allah that he's like, somebody died for the sake of Allah. فلما رآني الوجد أنك حاضري شهدتك موجودا بكل مكان. When my closeness to you and my love to you found me that I'm there, I found Allah everywhere. You are the one who exists. فخاطبتك موجودا بغير تكلم ولاحظتك معلوما بغير عيان. So I talk to you, I know you are there, and I talk to you, and I know you are seeing me, so I take notice of that. So you talk to Allah, you know He's hearing you, and you are mindful that Allah is seeing you. You're not going to talk to Allah, He's not going to talk back to you, and you're not going to see Allah. And one of the virtue of dhikr, one of the gains from dhikr, one of the characters of dhikr, that doesn't have time. You can do dhikr anytime, and you can do dhikr wherever you are, and you are ordered to do dhikr, and to be either farad in your salah or nafil outside salah. And salah is not accepted without dhikrullah Azza wa Jal. وقال الله تعالى الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم. So Allah praised those who remember Allah standing, sitting, and on their side. And Imam Abu Bakr ibn Fawrak said that قياما بحق الذكر. قياما, they really make effort to make dhikr. وقعودا عن الدعوة فيه. You just make dhikr to Allah Azza wa Jalla. You don't involve any other things. You don't make the dhikr, oh Allah, by the way, give me this and that. And Abi Ali al-Daqqaq said that dhikr and tafakkur, Sheikh Abu Abdul Rahman, he was asking Abu Ali al-Daqqaq, he said, which is more important, to think of Allah or to make dhikr to Allah? And Abu Ali al-Daqqaq said, what do you think? And Sheikh Abu Abdul Rahman, he said, dhikr more important than fikr, because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, اذكروني أذكركم, and He didn't say think about me, I'll think about you. So He mentioned zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal more important than thinking about Allah. So sometimes thinking about Allah Azza wa Jal might not get you anywhere. If you get into the zat of Allah, what Allah is, so you go into a maze and things. So zikr will take you out of that. And it's a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us mentioning His name. يقول لولا أن ذكره فرض علي ما ذكرته إجلالا. So if it wasn't zikr farad, obligation to me, I would be like, fearing Allah, making like He's so holy and so high that I even mention His name. Sometime, when we were children, the Arab teaches children, you call him dad, you don't say his name. So children will be like 4 or 5 years old. What's the name of your father? Father. What's the name of your father? Father. They don't teach them their name, because no, don't say it. It's like when friends to my wife, her children said to their mom, why teacher Hala, she put her name on the car? Isn't it shameful to just mention the name, to put your name on the car? So you say mama, you don't say Hala. So this is, he said, how dare I can't say Allah, but he obliged me to do it, so I'm saying it. While he says, my God, you know. And when Allah talked to Musa, Inni ana rabbuka, fakhlan alayka. Then when he became ready and took off his shoes and things, and he said, Innani ana Allah, la ilaha illa ana. So now you can't be introduced to me, Innani ana Allah. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Udhkuruni adhkurkum. Remember me, I will remember you. And Jibreel alayhi salam said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أعطيت أمتك ما لم أعطيت أمتك ما لم أعطي أمة من الأمم. Allah Azza wa Jalla said that I gave you ummah, your nation, what I haven't given any other nations. And he said, what's that, Ya Jibreel? He said, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. So when you mention Allah Azza wa Jalla, Allah will mention you. And you have to mention the name Allah. It's not enough to say any other name. Because when you become Muslim, you don't say Ashhadu anna ar-Rahman, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ar-Rahman. When you sit in the Salah, you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ar-Rahim. No, Allah, la ilaha illallah. So it's the greatest name of Allah Azza wa Jal, and His personal name. And لم يقل هذا لأحد غير هذه الأمة. He didn't say that to any ummah before us. And الملك استعمل الذاكر في قبض روحه. الملك, when Israel come, he will, if somebody making zikr, he will take permission from him. Because he can't interrupt him doing the zikr. And Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, it's written in some of his books, he said, Ya Rab, where do you live? Which is metaphoric, obviously. He said, in the heart of my slave, the believer slave. Because with the dhikr, سكون الذكر في القلب فإن الحق منزه كل السكون. So when your zikr make your heart sakin, you are with Allah Azza wa Jal. لا لأني أنساك أكثرت ذكرك ولكن بذاك يجري لساني. Not because I forgotten you, I mentioned you, but because my tongue automatically mentioned your name. And if you don't make zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal, said Allah will say, you were not fair with me. I remember you and you forget me. And I call you to come to me and you go somewhere else. And ما تقول غدا إذا جئتني. What will you say when you go back to Allah Azza wa Jal? And Abu Sulaiman Darani said, إن في الجنة قيعانا فإذا أخذ الذاكر في الذكر أخذت الملائكة في غرس. So when you do zikr, malaika will plant trees for you in Jannah. And when you stop, they say, why he stopped making zikr? فيقول لستر صاحبه. So the malaika will know that you stopped doing the zikr. And Hassan said, remember the sweetness in three things: salah, zikr, and reading the Quran. And if you don't get sweetness from salah or zikr or reading the Quran, know that doors are closed in your face. So subhanAllah, I mean, some might drag themselves sometime to the salah or drag ourselves to the reading the Quran. I discovered, like, the more you read the Quran, the more you start really enjoying it. So if you read the Quran, read the Quran, you become like, really enjoyment. And the same with dhikr. We used to go with my teacher to the dhikr like we are in Jannah. I still miss these, circles of dhikr we used to go. Somebody with Ibrahim al-Khawas, he was with him on a journey. And during the night, snakes start coming out and shouted, Shaykh, snakes, quiet, be quiet, just carry on zikrullah. And he carried on zikrullah and the snake gone. Then again, quiet again, then the snakes came back. He said, Shaykh, snakes out. He says, carry on zikrullah. And he started zikrullah again, the snake gone. Until the morning. And the Shaykh said, I never enjoyed the day and night like this night. When he was walking, a snake dropped from his back. So the snake was finding like comfort in being with the Shaykh. And the Sir Sakhti said, إذا كان الغالب على عبدي ذكري عشقني وعشقته. If this the thing which overcoming you is to remember Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will love you and He will love Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah said to Dawood, Be fafrahu wa bidhikri fatana'amu. Be delighted that you are with me and enjoy my dhikr. And in Injil, it's said that if you remember me when you are angry, I will remember you. Allah said in Injil, I remember you when I am angry. so Allah will take you out of his punishment. And be happy with my support, because my support to you is better than your support to yourself. And the monarchs were asked, are you fasting? He said, I'm fasting with his zikr. فإذا ذكرت غيره أفطرت. I'm fasting when I'm remembering Allah Azza wa Jalla. I break my fast if I remember somebody else. And he's saying when the dhikr is deep seated in the heart, whenever shaitan comes to you, it will be like a sharp touch the shaitan, and he will run away, like he has, if he had epileptic fit, and the shaitans will ask him, what happened to you? They will say that a human touched him. So it would be powerful enough to get like an electric shock to shaitan. And Sahel bin Sa'd said that there's no much disobedience to Allah than forgetting him, not making dhikr. And dhikr al-khafi quietly is actually the Naqshbandi usually do quiet dhikr. The malak will not take it up because he can't have access to it. It's between you and Allah Azza wa Jal when you do dhikr with your heart. And the dhakir will be like if he's in a forest. He said there were a zakir in the forest, and this guy came to him, and he found that a wild animal come and bite him, and then go, and then come again, bite him and go. So what happened to you? He said, Allah made this wild animals. Every time I forget Allah, I stop making dhikr, he remind me by biting me. And Al-Jariri said he was hit. He is a zakir. He always makes zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal. He said when he made zikr, alaykum salam, when he made zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal, a branch of tree hit his head, and the blood came down to the ground, and the name Allah on the blood, like if the blood was continuing zikr to Allah Azza wa Jal. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock inshallah will be on Zoom, and we'll try it on Zoom only tomorrow and see how it is, and then we'll check with those who want to join us and whether we do Zoom or meeting. But